Welcome to Season 1, Episode 3 of The Psychology of a Successful Marriage in collaboration with Zuma Coffee. Mm-hmm. In fact, Wisdom gave me a coffee today that made me feel joy in my spirit. It was an iced coffee with a hint of chocolate. And let me tell you,
Preach.
real. Okay, I'm Adaeze Chiwoko, Marriage for Real with
Victor Onochie, Genius Metaphor.
Awesome. And Victor, what do we talk about in this episode?
It's marriage, basically. But today we'll be talking about fear-based versus love-based.
Sounds deep.
Yeah, deep. I like that.
Sounds deep.
Let's dive in.
Fear-based versus love-based relationship. So to be honest, I sort of delve into this a lot with my clients.
Okay.
And it's something that I see with my clients, but it's also something that I've had to observe within my marriage.
Okay.
And really check what energy I am operating with in this marriage. Is the energy fear-based or is it love-based? And so it'd be just good to break down what fear-based love looks like. So for me, I would say that fear-based love it is the concept of looking at your marriage as in fear of loss, fear of losing it, fear of breakdown, fear of divorce, fear of being hurt, fear of being let down, fear of being disappointed, all these things that could go wrong in marriage. I'm afraid of it. But on top of that, I'm afraid of losing this person.
The person, things like that.
I'm afraid of losing the person.
Yeah.
So because I'm afraid, I might start to be subtly controlling.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Tell me what you think about that.
So, I mean, you've hit the nail on the head. One other thing I think is even the fear of losing control.
Fear of losing control.
You know, the feeling that this person is going to take the whole control of everything and all. And
what, in your life? Or like...
Yeah, of course. Because, I mean, the marriage it's kind of your life is in the marriage.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, okay, I get you.
So it's almost like you get to a defensive place. You're constantly on defense if the person, so you don't want, it's like you think the person is trying to subdue you, he's trying to control you.
I see what you mean.
Things like that. And so you go defense and you start attacking. You get things like stonewalling. And when I mean stonewalling, is like
go and explain what stonewalling is.
Yeah, so stonewalling is when somebody probably is saying something and you just cut off. You're not listening to what the person is saying. Probably pick a newspaper, something like that. So the conversation is not happening. And the person gets that message that this person is not listening. Could be the guy, it could be the lady. So that's stonewalling.
So from a woman's point of view, what you just described in terms of a fear comes from maybe she's been hurt before.
True.
And she comes into this relationship and she's like, I am not allowing anybody to hurt me again.
True.
So now she comes into this relationship of fear of the past happening again.
Yeah.
But then also maybe she's watched her mother being controlled and subdued.
True.
And so she comes in with this very strong energy, this defense, saying nobody is going to control me.
True.
And she has a fear of letting go. Here's another one, fear of vulnerability, which is the fear of letting go, right? Fear of just being open and letting your guards down and being vulnerable in this.
And this is a big deal in marriage.
It's huge.
It's a big deal, this vulnerability thing. Even especially, I think more with the men than the women.
Right, because there is a male point of view in this of fear of being. So you talk from a male point of view. What is the fear with vulnerability with men?
So women are more vocal. And there's a tendency that when things go bad, the woman can use your vulnerable period or moments against you. Those things which you probably did or said in those periods.
Is that what the fear is?
That's part of it.
Wow.
Part of it. Yeah. And it happens a lot. So,
or fear of being, is there a fear of appearing weak?
Of course, because vulnerable has a sense of making you look, at your is it weak or not so defensive, powerful side? I don't know if that makes any sense. But the idea, about, because without being vulnerable, it's difficult to build trust.
Listen, here's how I put it, and it might sound a bit cutthroat, but you know how I am.
Okay.
But I truly believe that without vulnerability, it is impossible, impossible, to truly experience intimacy in its true form. And intimacy includes trust and all of those things. But I don't think it's possible to actually experience true intimacy without vulnerability. It's impossible. You can't have it. You can't be intimate with someone who you can't be open with, because, and share with and be free with. How does intimacy can't thrive in that environment?
Because I think I heard this where somebody said intimacy is into me, see. You have to be able to drop your guard down for the other person to really see you, to connect with you, to really know you. It's in that moment that you guys can really align at the deeper level, not just on the superficial or
Right.
And that's where you can build trust. That's where you could build even stronger bonds.
Because the question is, why are we even choosing to spend a life with somebody, our entire life, with somebody who we have so much fear around? I'm afraid you're going to disappoint me. I'm afraid you're going to hurt me. I'm afraid, like you were saying, that if I show vulnerability, you're going to use it against me. Sure. Like, who are we marrying then?
You see, what we talked about at the last episode.
Responsibility of choosing the right person.
Yeah. Thinking it through before you're even making the decision of who you're going to marry. To think through these things, to understand what it is about. It's because this principle even goes as well as even a team. Yeah, because even in a team, without vulnerability, if the team is not vulnerable, if they don't trust each other, they'll just be playing on the surface. There's no real commitment.
Right.
But when they are able to have what I would call, they can have conflict, healthy conflict. You understand? And the only way you could have healthy conflict with someone is where there is that trust. And that trust is built on vulnerability, And that's why one of the exercises when it comes to, like, I always say, you go to an organization and you're trying to work with a team. It's similar to a marriage. It's still a team-based thing that people really need to get to know each other. When I get to know you better, the more I will bond with you. The more I will have your back. The more I see more similarities in us being humans, So it's really important.
Right.
Yeah. But just like you said, where there's the fear-based, then everybody is playing on the surface. We are just showing you what we want you to see. We're not being true to you. We're not being real to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so here's what I've noticed happens with people or couples that operate from a fear-based space. There are certain things that show up, but one of the key things is control.
True.
And I want to say this. I feel like whenever somebody is trying to control something or someone, it's always based on fear.
True.
Some people think that it's a power thing, right? Particularly men can feel like, I'm taking control of this thing, right? Or I'm going to control this woman. I think women do this as well.
True.
But it's always based on, I'm going to control it because I'm afraid of losing it, right? Or I'm afraid of it being better than me, or I'm afraid of it looking better than me, or whatever the thought is. There's a fear around it always, right? And so it might be controlling what a person does, how they dress, where they go, who they see, trying to control all these things, even how they do things in the house, right? Really wanting it to be a particular way. It's all based on fear. And one of the other things that I notice shows up with fear is really quickly being defensive, irritable, frustrated, moody, all these call them sisters of fear.
Yeah.
You know, all these
Children
negative emotions, children of fear. All these negative emotions that show up in a relationship because you're afraid of losing it.
Of course.
Or afraid of perpetuating the past.
Afraid
it's so damaging.
Yeah. Afraid of perpetuating the past. And, you know, when you get to marriage, probably you've dated people, but we have to also understand that as we are evolving from the first person you date, you're moving on. And that's why I talk about the aspect of being self-aware, being self-conscious. You are learning, you go into a relationship. If it doesn't work, you should be able to learn from it. Why didn't it work? And in trying to learn from it, you must put yourself on the table. You are judging the relationship based on you because you accepted this person while dating this person. You understand? Now, if you accepted, why did you accept? What did this person do? What did this person do to make you accept them as somebody you want to go into a relationship with? If probably you were careless, you didn't think it through, it makes you, when you're going to your next relationship, you be a little bit more observant. You be a little bit more thoughtful. It doesn't mean that you've looked at that old relationship as something that didn't work and you come into a new one and be defensive. No, you have to take stock so that you learn. And I always say, for every relationship, you learn from it.
Yeah.
So that when you are now at the place where you're making the decision to settle down, you're more equipped, you're more matured. You can't know it all, but you have an idea. You have a good sense of, you know, what you're going into and what it would look like, you know. And the idea of growing, that concept, the idea of personal growth. I always say that marriage is the best platform for personal development.
Oh my gosh, the best.
It's the best platform because it's in your face every day. It's in your face every day. And you should be able to look at it and ask yourself, how can I be better at this? Most times we set goals. You want to make a millionaire, you want to be this, you want to do that. But most times we don't set goals about our marriage.
Right.
You understand? I want to communicate more. I want to communicate better with my wife. Even to ask your wife or you ask your husband, what are the things you think I could be better on? Now, in a fear-based marriage,
yes,
you would avoid that.
You won't ask that question.
You don't want her to even tell you that.
You don't want the answer. You don't want the truth. You do not want the truth to that question.
The truth about it is, in a love-based, you want to know how to get better, how to make this relationship even more enjoyable. Because the more you enjoy it, you want the other person to enjoy it, the more two of you are enjoying it, the more everybody around that marriage is feeling happy, because family is about harmony. The marriage should create harmony in the family. And if the marriage is based on fear, if the relationship is based on fear, it starts to affect, even you try to control the children, you scared a whole lot.
You know what? It's good that you touched on children because, it does, you know, again, I feel like people confuse fear and love, right? So an overprotective, overbearing mother will say, oh, because I love my child. But actually, I mean, I'm not saying that you don't love your child, you really do, but you are allowing the fear it's the fear that is making your decisions, that you're driving your actions on. So I'm going to be overprotective because of fear. I'm going to be overbearing. I'm going to try and shield them from everything, and they don't get any experiences in life because of fear. It feels like it's because of love, but actually it's your fear that's making you choose these decisions and actions.
And so like you said, it's important to always pay attention to the intention behind your action.
The driver, right?
What's
the driving emotion?
This thing I'm doing, I'm flipping on the child and all that. What is my intention? What is driving this behavior?
Right.
And that's why I see marriage is the best platform for personal development. Because think about it, if you don't have the other partner. When you have the other partner and this person is your partner, is your friend and all, the person can call you aside and say, and you guys talk about these things and said, what do you think is directing this frustration or this action, this thing you are doing? And you guys can communicate. And guess what we talked about? Vulnerability. When you're vulnerable, you drop your guard down and be able to open yourself to your partner. Say, you know, when I was growing up, or this is that happened and that happened, and your partner will be able to understand you. And when they understand you, they can reassure you, they can bring perspective to that situation. And it's like, don't worry, we will get this, we'll make it work.
Right.
We'll get it right. We'll do it. We'll learn how to make it work.
Yeah.
You know? So you guys come as a team, and the person will always try supporting you in terms of that behavior. And because behavior, you don't just change behavior immediately. When you have a partner who is almost going to be like your coach, both of you are going to be like coaches to each other. You help each other. You journey with each other to change.
I saw this reel on Instagram the other day, and I just thought, oh my God, this is so true.
Yeah.
Just in line with what you're saying about marriage being like a mirror. He was like, you know, if your partner does something or says something that triggers you.
Yeah.
Right? You get a choice. You can just respond in that pain, right? Or blame them and, you know, react. Or you can take a moment, and I call this self-inquiry, something I teach. You could take a moment to ask yourself, wait a minute, but why did that trigger me? What is it about me? What is the thought, the heart behind it, the energy, the past thing that happened that made that a trigger? And allow it to cause you to look at yourself in the mirror. I'm going to give you an example of this, actually, a personal example. During lockdown, I gained a whole load of weight, like a whole load of weight, right? Because I mean, what else we were doing? Just like, and my husband and I love spending time together. My husband's a feeder. He's a feeder, but that doesn't put on weight.
Okay.
I'm an eater that puts on the weight, right? So they're just like, you have some of that. Look what I made. He's always feeding me. I gained a whole load of weight. Anyway, he comes into the house one day. I can't remember what he said. It was very innocent. But because I had this whole thing going on my mind that I gained so much weight, he said this thing and I started. I was like, what did you mean by that? But he's in shock because he's just like,
okay, where's this coming
from? Luckily, because I have to practice what I teach, I caught myself and I said, listen, let me just go and get some air. And I went and sat down in my room and I did self-inquiry. And I was asking myself, why did that trigger me? What is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? And kept digging deep until I got to the place of, because I feel insecure about my weight. So it actually had nothing to do with him. Because if I didn't have that underlying insecurity, that fear around my weight, what he said would have gone over my head. It would have just been a nothing thing. But because of the space I was in, it highlighted him saying that thing caused a trigger. So I could have just stayed there and argued with him and like, you should have said that, we would have been there all day. But actually taking a moment to do the self-inquiry and being like, it's only because I'm feeling insecure about my weight. Personal responsibility.
Exactly.
What should I do then? Go and lose the weight. That's it. It's got nothing to do with him. But how many arguments have we gone into because of our own fears, our own insecurities, and not being prepared to do that self-inquiry work and figure out what the intent, what's the energy behind this? This argument that I'm in, what's fueling it? Is it really because I want to get to the objective, or is it just fear? Am I only angry with you that you came back an hour late instead of, you know, the time that you said, because I'm afraid that you went and did something, or I'm afraid that you lied to me? Like, what's the driver here?
Yeah, we have to, it's also personal growth. You talked about self-inquiry, and this is one of the benefits of meditation.
I love meditation.
Yeah. One of the great things meditation does for someone is it helps you develop self-awareness, paying attention to what you're paying attention to. Okay. Because most times we are in things where we're just all over and we don't take the time to step back. You know, Stephen Covey talked about stimulus and response.
Yeah.
You know, they said between stimulus, what happens to you, and response, there is a small space.
Yeah.
And depending on, in that space lies our power of what we're able to create.
There we go.
And that's that thing you talk about, trigger. Something happened. Are you able to be patient enough to pay attention to why you want to react or respond a particular way automatically. That's the trigger part. Something has happened, and then you're considering, you want to flip immediately. Most times it could be from insecurities, just like you said. But if we step back, just like you did in the self-inquiry, you're able to pay attention to these things. And these are feedbacks for us to deal with in terms of, okay, how can I deal with this thing? You said something about, okay, lose weight.
Because it was about me, it wasn't him.
We need to take that responsibility to lose weight. And also as partners, I wouldn't think if I have somebody who is on my side, that's my partner, my wife, my husband, the person would be body shaming me. Let me use that word.
But if you're in a fear-based relationship, you would, because you're always thinking at any point this person is going to take the opportunity to put me down.
Yes.
Right?
And even people in fear-based also use that situation, because I could use it to crack jokes. Right. Just to rattle you and all that kind of thing. Not being sensitive to how this comes across. So it's like a dynamic kind of thing. That means that if it's from love-based, I should look at what empowers you. I should not look at what brings, as I'm sensitive to how things come across to my partner.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the other person.
Yeah.
So even if I get off to see something and the other person, I have to have that emotional intelligence to pay attention to that person. You see something and you see the body language of the person in a particular way. You should read that and be able to know how to, you should read the room and adjust yourself, And if you feel you actually have stepped on something which you feel is not cool, you should be able to talk to the person and say, I hope I didn't upset you in this I said and all. It's good to do that. And if the person, that alone, that awareness, that gift you are giving that person in asking that person that, I hope I didn't upset you or not, the person could tell you something like, no, it's fine, no one. It could be that, there's something, but the fact that you have said that and the person has dealt with it, the person will feel, okay, you are sensitive enough to pay attention that something happened in that time, but the person has taken the responsibility to probably evolve past whatever it might be to the person at that time. Than the fact where you don't even pay attention, you just assume all is well. And the person is just thinking in his mind or her mind. This person doesn't even care how he comes off or she comes off, and all that. Because the truth about it is, you have to love people how they want to be loved.
Right.
You have to pay, not how you want to be loved.
Yeah. I call it selfish lover.
Yeah.
You selfish lover, you.
Because you're just thinking about, so in your head, how you do things, you feel that's the way life is. That's how everybody should be.
It's such an arrogant point of view.
It is.
It really is an arrogant point of view.
The things that I was thinking about in terms of fear-based versus love-based relationship is the concept of letting go, right?
Yeah.
And that is based on the idea that anything that we hold on to, we have the risk of strangling to death, right? We have the risk of squeezing the life out of it. And again, I guess it leads back to control, and the idea is that if you love something, with love being linked to trust, instead of fear, right? So if I love something but I'm afraid of losing it, I'm going to hold on to it like this beautiful zero quality bead. I'm going to hold on to it like this, okay, and strangle it. And so I would be strangling the life out of something if I'm fear-based. But when I'm saying I love it and I hold it with trust, I kind of have my hands open, right? And I let this relationship and this person thrive and be who they want to be. I'm not trying to control the person that you are and your viewpoints and your perspective and your journey in life. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that if you truly love somebody, you set them free, right? You have hands open and you say thrive. That's where I was going to. So here's the thing. When we get married, we think that our life's journey, the story of our lives ends, right? Because now I expect you to just be in this smooth road. I don't expect you to have bumps in the road. I don't expect you to make bad decisions. I don't expect you to problem or a gambling problem or a porn addiction problem or depression, because I'm not prepared for that. I want us to have a happy marriage. I am fearful of any faults in the role. So therefore, I want your life journey to just be smooth, to just end. Whereas in real life, you have your own journey, you have your own story, and just because we're married doesn't mean that yours stops. So that means in the bumps and the humps and the curves of life, there's going to be all sorts of things that have occurred within your journey. And if I'm trying to hold on to you and stifle you and stop you from experiencing all that life has to give, the good and the bad, then I'm hindering you from being a full person. But if I'm in a position of love-based says, listen, I'm here for the good and the bad, and I called you loosely like this, just as a support system, not to stop you from going through all the experiences, because even those bad experiences are there to help you to grow, be the man or the woman that I need you to be, or that you need to be, right? So that sense of letting go and trusting in the love that we have, right? I don't need to check where you are every 2 minutes because I'm going to trust that you're going to make the right decision based on our love, right? I don't need to be on your case all the time because I'm going to trust that this bond between us is not just for me, it's for you, it's what you want as well. So I'm holding it nice and loosely and I'm giving it space to thrive and be what it is, please. And sometimes when we're holding something so tight, we're forcing it to be what it's not. Let me see the truth of who you are in your love. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I think that's what I needed to say about letting go, and I've released it now.
Hello.
Feel better.
You feel better, right?
Yeah.
So it was like you're constipated with letting...
I would have said the word constipated, scared, cool. Okay, let's shift gears. Let's go on to what does a love-based relationship look like, although I've kind of alluded to it.
Yeah, because I think with what you said and everything you said, it really, what you said is basically the ideal or a love-based relationship. But also we have to know that it doesn't just fall from the sky. There's a work. You see, trust is built. Trust doesn't just happen. If you want trust, you have to be trustworthy. That means you have to give trust to receive.
Listen, we have to do a whole episode in that.
Yeah. So it's the bedrock. It's like, without trust, we don't have any meaning.
But also, just even what you're saying in terms of, it doesn't just fall from the sky, because I hear people say, just trust me.
You get that?
I think, what does that mean? What does that happen? Oh, I'm not sure. Something happens, let's just say infidelity. Okay, I forgive you. Okay, you forgive me, trust me. But doing that.
But what you have shown by, will I say credibility, that means you are shown that you can't and cannot be trusted. So it has to take time of proving yourself that I can give you that benefit of the doubt.
Right, yeah, right.
So it will work. And everything you said about it, you go to the church to get married, and there are things you say in critique, a thing, this and that, and all that. The point is this: marriage is just a nurturing ground for each person's journey. We're all just like I said, you're going to have your journey, I'm going to have my journey. We're doing journey together. Things will happen to both of us as well as each of us. And the idea is, it's a difficult thing to go through like a story. That's just the reality of it. But when you're doing that journey with somebody else, I mean, you have support, you have a friend, you have that person who can be there for you when it's tough, and also that person who is there when you want to celebrate. Because I mean, whatever celebration, it's just only celebrating something. It's joyful when you're doing it. We need to hear that our destinies have been woven together. And being matured is understanding of that fact that our destinies have been woven together, in the sense that I have to be very conscious of my life journey, knowing that decisions I make and things I do is going to affect the other person.
That's the whole thing.
You understand? If I'm jealous, if I'm irresponsible, I could literally mess up another person's life.
Yeah.
And the other person too has to be seen. And I've said it before that marriage are for matured adults. Because there's mature adults that don't just throw caution to the wind, but pay attention to their actions, the things they are doing or things they want to do.
Right. But again, that has to be, rather than that, and I think this is just the slight mindset shift that I want, rather than those actions, intended actions being from a place of, I'm afraid of messing this up, let them be from, I choose these actions based on loving this person, based on what is that best for you. And so, I say this and it sort of troubles a few people. Come on. I'm not with my husband, and I really hope that he's not with me, and we don't put in the work and all that we do for this marriage because we're afraid of being alone. I don't want him to be with me because he's afraid of being alone, or even he's afraid of not having me, or what lives would be. I don't want that because that's a completely different energy. My ideal is that we are choosing each other every day based on, I love the idea of being with him. I love his presence. I love what we're building together. I love the joy that we create and the vision that we have. I love that. And that literally, choosing that approach is a daily thing because it's very easy to fall. But I'm afraid of losing him, and I'm afraid of divorce, and I'm afraid of all these things. I mean, those fears are very real, but I don't want our action to be driven by that. I don't want you to be doing things for me because you're afraid you're going to lose me. Just do it for me because it brings joy to me. It brings joy to you. It makes me happy because of the love that we share. And this is something, my husband and I have been talking about this a lot recently. Like, let's trust in the love that we have.
Yeah.
Right? Let's not lean on fear. And here's the thing, I see fear and faith and love on the same spectrum.
Okay.
And I also see us we sit in the middle of that spectrum, and in every single given moment or in every instance in our life, it's like the same coin. Choose which side. Fear shouts the loudest, and we're trained to see the fear first. So, oh my God, I don't want to lose him. Oh my God, if I do this, or if he goes there, he's going to cheat on me. Or if she says this, or if we have an argument and she starts crying, I'm going to lose her. So now I'm going to use manipulation to try and keep. That's fair. But what if we go to the other side and be like, but actually our love is really strong. But actually we choose to be together. Actually it's a joy being together. We get to choose that. And so what I'm practicing, what I encourage my clients to practice is whenever we're on that fridge calling, take a moment to think about, well, what's the opposite? What's the desire? What's the love? What's the trust? What's faith? And sit on that part.
Yeah.
Choose to be there because at the very least, being there is going to dictate a whole different sets of actions. So now I'm not going to react. Now I'm going to be more patient. Now I might just respond with more love. Maybe now I'm going to hold my tongue a little bit, or I'm going to be able to hear my partner and speak into the pain instead of being favorite thing, So I just think it's so important because I want every single action has come from a feeling which has come from a thought. Right? So that's how it is. Actions, feelings, thoughts. And so if you're doing a certain action, like you respond with anger very quickly, or you get super defensive real quick, or you're quite emotionally manipulative, you need to start saying, well, what am I feeling? Am I feeling fear? Why am I feeling fear? And then go back to the thoughts that you're having. That's the why. Okay, because maybe I subconsciously fear having a relationship like my parents, or subconsciously I fear divorce, what people say, or subconsciously I fear my children growing up in the city. Again, all valid fears, but we don't want to be driven by those because they're showing up in the actions that you're taking.
Yeah, because rightly said, fear, it's also an energy, and the more you focus on these things, it kind of drives you into those type of things. The more you're worried about the words, the more you do things that will be leading you towards the goals.
Well, of course. But if I'm afraid of divorce, right, now I'm going to be very controlling.
Exactly.
Now because I'm controlling, I've got a partner who feels stifled. who's more likely to say after a few years, I'm out, because I can't breathe. Do you know what I mean? That's dangerous. That's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. And that's why, Adaeze, for me, I always say, take the responsibility from the beginning to understand.
So it's like understood. But there was a nice thing.
Oh no, I think it's mine.
Is it like they're back?
When did it go off? Just now? Oh no, we just had the best conversation. What did I kill or have again?
What again? Yeah, I met Eddie Mills. That's tough. So, it's still that thing about mature adults getting married. Because I feel in lot of the foundation of marriage has to do with the two people who are coming together. You can, if you price to develop yourself to be a mature adult, one of the things that can do for you is it will also guide you in choosing your mates. But if you have not done that well, there's a tendency that even your choice will reflect that. Now, if you've done the work of choosing a matured adult, it's easy for you guys to discuss at a particular level, to understand this at a level. And then at that point, when you are letting go, it becomes grounded. Because if you're letting go with somebody who is not matured, who is not a matured adult, there are various vices and habits and behaviors that person would exhibit, whether you let go, whether you hold the person. I don't know if I'm making sense. Somebody who is a perpetual cheater, who has not played to the point, who has these various habits which probably are not what you would want. If that person has those things, they are going to lose it. But when I say mature adult, I mean somebody who has got to the point to understand responsibility in terms of action and reaction. Knowing that, and that's what I said, knowing that things I do reflect on another person and on myself. When you have a mature adult who you're dealing with, it's easy to have less worries, knowing that when we have certain conversations and we agree on certain things, I trust that this person won't hold his own end of the bargain. What's it doing with a child? A whole lot of victim and try to come in, excuses, reason why I'm not or should not, or just accept me, here I am, I always tell. Most times, the foundation is crooked. If it's gotten right, and that, so I tell people, you're dating someone. You know all she means that all the work of choosing a matured adult. It's easy for you guys to discuss at a particular level, to understand this. And then at that point, when you are letting go, it becomes grounded. Because if you're letting go with somebody who is not matured, who is not a matured adult, there are various vices and habits and behaviors that person would exhibit, whether you let go, whether you hold the person. I don't know if I'm making sense. Somebody who is a perpetual cheater, who has not played to the point, who have these various habits which probably are not what you would want. If that person has those things, they are going to always be there. They're going to be there. But when I say mature adult, I mean somebody who has got to the point to understand responsibility in terms of action and reaction. Knowing that, that's what I said, knowing that things I do reflect on another person and on myself. When you have a mature adult who you're dealing with, it's easy to have less worries. Knowing that when we have certain conversations and we agree on certain things, I trust that this person will hold his end of the bargain. What's it doing with a child? A whole lot of victim mentality will come in, excuses, reason why I'm not or not, or just accept me where I am and all this kind of. And so then I'm saying that most times the foundation is crooked. If it's gotten right, and that, so I tell people, you're dating some. Love also means you have to know when to let go of that person. Sure, that it's, you guys are not going to. Like, I say, oh, he's a good person. Oh, I'm also a good person. It doesn't mean that you both will make a good marriage. You understand? So that concept, that ability to understand that and looking at things critically, can this work? Is love. That's all. You're extending yourself. You're extending yourself not just for yourself, but also for the other person. Because the other person might have somebody else who that person is with. The chemistry would flow better. The marriage would work even better. If you feel, I am this person and not vibing well, our values are not aligned well, it's a big person at all, but you just don't match. And the person is not willing to align with you. It's okay to let the person go.
It's very okay. Yes, it's wisdom.
It's wisdom. That's love. Because if you don't let that person go and you go into the relationship with that person, you just have to accept the fact that you are going to struggle, you're going to deal with certain things.
So it's also a fear-based decision because you're probably just doing it because maybe you're afraid that you're not going to find somebody. You know what? I see women who maybe have reached their 40s and are in a relationship, and because they're afraid, they just marry some joker. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But obvious joker. Do you know what I mean? But these jokers, or even not even in their 40s sometimes. I don't know, women get to it, they all head to it, and everyone's putting pressure on it, they don't brother, so they just grab anybody, or they have fallen pregnant and they're forced into marriage. The worst reason to get married. Do you know what I mean? Some of the worst reasons to get married, but it's all based on fear, and then you enter into the marriage with that fear energy, with a joker who isn't mature, like you said, isn't prepared to do any self-work, personal development, and grow. Yeah. Well, it's dangerous.
It's because this is going to be your life. Yeah, this is going to be your life. And I tell you, when people are having issues, I tell them, life is still out there to show you curveball. It's better you guys find harmony, so that when that curveball comes, you guys can piece it together. You know, life is a challenge which you're going to be in stages. Now, if your issue, your challenge is the relationship, you guys are people, I don't like the way this, that, and all that, yeah, things ahead.
Right.
So it's best we deal with this. And that is still the point that adults should come together in trying to make a future here.
But that old adult thing isn't an age.
It has all the book. It's not an age thing.
Right.
It
I thought some 40 plus, 50 plus.
Yeah.
They're just
children, yes.
Absolutely is.
Yeah, it's not an age thing. It's a mindset thing. That's what we're talking about, the psychology. It's a mind thing. It's in way. When you meet somebody who is mature, you will experience that person and see that this is a mature person. Yeah, how they deal with issues, how they think about things. It has nothing to do with age.
Yeah.
The person would be a 3-year-old guy or a 3-year-old, and you see how the person thinks about certain things. You see that this person is mature. This person takes responsibility of how he or she thinks, takes responsibility on decisions they make, takes the decision to grow themselves. This is a mature adult. He's not blaming anybody. He's not pointing fingers. He's not thinking that I'm a victim, and that's what life is happening to me.
Right.
You know. So when you meet somebody like that, you can have an honest decision where you talk about things and agree on things. And you will know that if we agree on it, this is a mature adult that will go his own end of the battle in what we need to discuss. And that's why when certain things are happening, you can call that person's attention. We talked about this. And the person will own up responsibly to know sense and be able to say, sorry, this and this and that, I'm going to be even better. That's what a mature adult will do. But the child will big up, quarrel, defend, fight, and all those kind of things will be happening. And that's why I said marriage is really for mature adults. Now, if you make the decision to go, you can have that kind of experience, but you won't have both. Because, you go into marriage however we got into it. If two people now make the conscious decision to grow, to take responsibility, they can still create. It could be a lot of work, more hard work, it is still possible. It doesn't mean that, you can't work again at all. Because most times what will be happening is one person wanting his or her script of marriage to be what the other person is going to play. And the other person is like, no, this is my script of marriage. No, it shouldn't be about all that. We should be about people making out, okay, what do we want to do? And take responsibility to play that. That's love. Love is a power. Love is not weak. You will make it look as if love is, I guess it was like, love is not what makes the marriage succeed. And I have to ask, what do you mean by love here? Because when someone says love, he probably talking about wants.
Okay.
You get my point? It's always this, love is not what makes a marriage work. I'm like, nothing can make a marriage thrive without love. It's a love that makes everybody steps up. Yeah. If I love my wife, I will do what it takes to ensure that what we have.
It's that, again, fear versus love. Everything, it's that. I think when people say love isn't what makes a marriage work, I say it's love communication as well. It's
We'll talk about
it's about all of the other thing. But underneath that is
more that's the energy. Yeah. That is pushing those states. The way you win about those states. Well, I mean, if I walk my way, I will extend myself to ensure I provide, I do something responsible to bring into the family in such a way that we're able to handle financial issues.
exactly.
If I love my wife, I will be more tolerant of her. I will be more patient with her. I will be more understanding with her. I will also be able to call her out when she does something wrong. Because I love her, I see the she can have been.
And because you have a love-based relationship, you calling her out and that might cause a little bit of conflict, but it doesn't understand. She understands and she knows that it doesn't mean the end of the marriage. It doesn't mean that he doesn't want me anymore. I don't understand. It's a panic.
But now the thing with love, the person will perceive it. Right. Because that energy, you feel it. If I'm doing anything, if I'm talking to you, I'm always going to be observing myself. When it's from love. And the intention will always guide the energy and the way I speak. When it's here, you're thinking of loss of control. I'm thinking of all those kind of things. Then I'm hitting on you. I'm trying to make you play here. I want to cleanse you.
That's manipulation.
So yeah, I'm telling you that the hard way or like it has to be this way.
Oh, so we had to do a whole thing on manipulation. I don't know whether to say that, but anyway, we'll save it. Look, so I'm hoping people are really grasping this whole thing because actually not only fear-based relationships is a massive, massive topic.
Yeah.
And I think that the core thing is that people should be self-aware enough.
Yeah.
Grow to that level of self-awareness that they can take a moment to reflect on which one is driving my actions.
Yeah.
Is it fear or is it love? And if we can lean towards the love side and doing this, choosing this because of love for this person, not because of fear.
It will reflect.
It will
reflect. It's energy. It will influence.
It will.
It's a cocktail going on there.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it's a cocktail.
So,
Yeah. Got it.
yeah.
So good. All right, yeah. So, okay. So we could go on and on, but we're going to have to draw it to a close. That's it for this episode, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've been enjoying my summer up here.
And we too. And so in the next episode, what are we talking about, Victor?
We'll be talking about emotional affairs.
Emotional affairs. It's going to be a big one.
Yeah.
You've been listening to Adaeze Chiwoko from Marriage Career and
Victor Onochie from Genius Never Fall.
Make sure you follow us on our various Instagram accounts, which you can see on screen. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell so that you can get the notifications of our upcoming episodes. And if you haven't watched the past ones, go ahead and do that now.